Hi everyone, welcome to Wizako. In this video, we're going to be looking at a GMAT study plan for a GMAT preparation that commences in March 2023. This study plan spans a duration of 4.5 to 5 months. The plan basically envisages you taking the GMAT by middle of July and have a GMAT score by the first week of August. Having a GMAT score, a competitive GMAT score by the first week of August, that's definitely possible if you start your preparation in March 2023. And having that score actually puts you at an advantage. Gives you two things that you can do. First thing, you'll be able to catch admission cycles for MBA programs for business schools which have an intake in January 2024. You'll be catching them in their middle of their admission cycle. So you'll be able to apply to schools which will have an MBA which commences in January 2024, which is 5 months from the time you write the GMAT. And you'll be able to catch admissions deadlines, the earliest round admission deadlines, R1 deadlines for US business schools for an MBA program that starts in August, September 2024. Let's look at what is the advantage of catching US R1 deadlines toward the end of this video. Right now, let's get quickly into this study plan. Let's look at what are the phases of this study plan. We'll look at milestones and timelines that you should reach at various of these points. The first step before you start your GMAT preparation is essentially taking this diagnostic test. Get an idea about where you stand. You need to know, are you good in math, are you good in verbal, are you equally good in both, or you're like, most of these things are a little scratchy, but if you can basically do some amount of effort, you know you can get a good score. Get started with a diagnostic test. Good place to have a diagnostic test is basically with the Wizako website. We have a diagnostic test both for the quant and the verbal section. Take the test and send in your scores to us. It reaches us. You can always send a mail. You can set up a talk with our counselor who will help you walk you through your preparation plan. You can also do one thing if you want to get a taste for how the real GMAT actually is, right from the UI, UX to everything. Take the test that's available in MBA.com. There are 2 free tests. Take the first test right now. So it gives you an idea about what your score is and you know where to start from. Get this diagnostic test done immediately, as in like today, tomorrow kind of stuff, right? Subsequently, once you know where you stand, right? Let's say I'll give you a couple of scenarios before you walk you through this. If you're prepared for an examination, let's say a CAT or a ZAT, and you have a 99 plus percentile, and you did not convert it into the top IIMs, that you're looking at GMAT as an alternative. For such people, for you the quant section is going to be something which is a walk in the park when it comes to a GMAT part. You essentially need to focus on the data sufficiency for quant, and you need to work on your verbal. So you can essentially fine tune your preparation which focuses exclusively on verbal, essentially doing justice to the data sufficiency component of the quant section. But if you realize that you've been working for 3 years and the last time you prepared for anything of this kind, this math, this verbal, was when you were probably in class 10 or class 12, which is give or take anything from 6 to 8 years is the time window between the last time you studied what is tested on the GMAT to now, then you're starting from scratch. All of this becomes evident when you do this diagnostic test. Evaluate objectively. There's no, as in like, don't double guess. Don't say that like, hey, I'm probably good. I scored well in school. I should be doing right now. Yes, that's a confidence booster, but it's better to be adequately prepared than to go unprepared into an examination. Do an objective evaluation. Know what you want. If you think that you need a full-fledged preparation for GMAT to get you a score which is past that 720, right? 700 plus is competitive. 720 plus is a very good score. 740 plus is a score which is going to get you financial assistantship and could open doors to many, many schools. So aim for that 740 plus. So 740 plus, what you require is what you're going to evaluate based on this diagnostic test. Then this research part of it, I said, if you've already taken examination like CAT and you scored well there, what you need to focus on is basically polishing those rough edges and basically focusing on the verbal section. If you have not done anything of that kind, I would definitely recommend that take up a preparation course. Don't try to do self-study. It probably is not worth it, right? You're trying to do an MBA so that you optimize things, you manage things effectively. You're probably working right now, you have other commitments, you have a personal life, and on top of it, you're adding a GMAT preparation, which is going to be a time-consuming thing, and it's also going to require a lot of effort. A good GMAT preparation typically is of 300 hours duration. You don't want to be doing the 300 hours plus another 100 hours of looking for content, looking for where to research and like get this thing done. How do I get my doubts clarified? All of that is basically suboptimal preparation. So if you have not done preparation for an examination like CAT and you know that you want to do justice to GMAT completely starting from the basics, then I would recommend take up any course. It could be a physical classroom program, it could be a one-on-one tutoring if you can afford something like that, it could be a self-paced online program, it could be a live online classes which run at specific schedules. Pick what would work for you. Do research, go and check with quite a lot of test prep companies. I'm not saying come and just join Wizako. Do essentially evaluate what options will work the best for you. Some of us are very comfortable on a one-on-one basis. Some of us will feel good only when we go physically sitting in a classroom and learn from someone there. A lot of us are probably comfortable sitting in a live online class because there's no travel. You get the same teachers teaching you, so they know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. So identify what works for you. Take demo classes with them, do trial classes with them, get an idea what is going to work for you. By end of February, you should have signed up with someone. You know that this is the program I'm going to go with, this is the material that I'm going to be using, this is how I'm going to be preparing, right? Have this ready by the end of February. So by first week of March, you're actually coasting. You've started preparing for the basics. If you're going with a program, the programs will typically lay out a schedule for you. You'll say, this is the first chapter, the second one, there's the third one, this is how you go about it. This is a time window that you should be investing in it. 3 hours for this, 7 hours for this. This is a 2-day, this class spans 3 2-hour sessions, while this spans only 1 2-hour session. So they would have laid things out for you. So you start your preparation, basic things, topic wise. If it's quant, it's going to be basically you'll break it down like linear equations, quadratic equations, number properties, ratio mixtures, permutation combination. If it is verbal, it's going to be sentence correction, RC, CR at the broadest level. Within sentence correction, different error types. Within CR, different question types, right? The classes are going to go about it this fashion. Or if you're going with a self-paced program, essentially go about it topic wise. Do not just the how. How do I factorize a quadratic equation is important. You need to know. If you're rusty about it, do adequate practice for it. Not just that, you need to know what a quadratic equation symbolizes when it is plotted on an xy plane. What is the geometric interpretation of a quadratic equation? What is the geometric interpretation of the roots of the quadratic equation? What will be the nature of the roots of a quadratic equation? When will that particular curve, the parabola, which is what a quadratic equation will be, will it be floating above the x-axis? Can it be something which is floating below the x-axis? When will that happen? Right? So it's not just the how, what, when. All of these questions, get them answered. Do adequate practice. If you are rusty about anything, if you think that factorizing quadratic equation takes time for you, do 20 questions, 30 questions. The only yardstick that you're going to be using is not the number of questions, is whether you're, after all of that particular exercise, you're confident about handling that. That's the most important thing. Invest a lot of time here. Most of us think that, hey, quadratic equation, they'll do 4 questions. They'll say, I know how I can do it. Good, but still top it up with 10, 15 questions. So you know the nuances that come with it. You know, okay, I'll look at it. Hey, the product of the roots is negative. Therefore, one root should be positive, one root should be negative. So the difference between the two is what I should be looking at as the sum of the middle term. So those kinds of things come to you naturally if you actually go about solving adequate number of questions. This window, this preparation, usually spans about 2.5 months, which is when you'll be able to do justice to everything. In this 2.5 months, give or take, I'll be saying you should solve about 1500 quant questions and 1000 verbal questions. So 2500 questions over a duration of 75 days, March 1st to May 15th, entire March, entire April, and half of May. So we're talking about 75 days and 2500 questions is what we are talking, which is not too much at all. You'll be able to do justice to it very peacefully, right? Essentially, we are talking about a little more than 30 questions a day, right? Little more than 30 questions a day is something that we can easily budget with about 2 hours of preparation every day. If you can give a 2 hours uninterrupted one, wonderful. But otherwise, do 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, or do 2 1-hour slots whenever it works for you. Make those slots as fixed slots, which is very important. Some tricks that you should do, because one becomes a habit, and you do the entire scheduling of your life around those 2 hours. If you say I'm going to prepare for some 2 hours a day, sometimes you'll skip those 2 hours and it keeps piling up after a point in time. But if you say that every day between 6 and 7 in the morning, if you're a morning person, or like 4 and 5 in the morning, or like late night 11 to 12, figure out those times. So which means that you're not going to book a movie slot, you're going to tell your family you're not available there. If you go for a walk in the morning, you probably will say my walk either happens before or after this particular study window. Fix that time window and work everything around it. Therefore it becomes a habit, and you'll definitely clock those 2 hours every day. Clocking 2 hours every day for these 75 days is easily 150 hours. And we are talking about doing about 30 to 35 questions every day to cross the 2500 mark. 1000 number of questions in verbal and 1500 questions in quant. I'm saying this is, it could be 1800 for you, 1400 for someone else. We're not going very finely about the 1500, but that's a kind of a ballpark number at which you will gain confidence in all of these topics. The next phase of your preparation is basically get into this official guides. There are three versions of official guide. One is a big book, which has got about 1,000 questions. And then there are two reviews, quant review, verbal review. Together they allow about 750 questions. And there is a book which is called the advanced OG, which has got 300 questions. So you have 2,000 plus retired GMAT questions. You've done all topic-wise preparation, everything. Now you're going to try it out with actual GMAT questions, which were retired GMAT questions. Do this practice. You know the quant basics, you know the verbal basics, you've applied it with a GMAT question. Next comes the stage. This you should be able to complete it in a month. 2,000 questions in a month. Now that you're done preparation, you can notch it up because the questions in OG are of increasing levels of difficulty. The initial questions are really easy to crack. So 60 questions a day is an average that you can comfortably do. So 30-day window, 60 questions a day, 2,000 questions you should be able to do it. Top it up with a little more some days. You should push as you're in the middle of, let's say, this thing window, which is like June 1st week or so. You have so much energy. You should be getting so many questions right that for you doing 100 questions a day should not be a problem. You'll be motivated to doing it because you're getting things right and you're actually solving retired GMAT questions. The more you get right there, the better your score is going to be. So do justice to this window. June 15 to July 15 is actually a very important window too. This is where you take your mock test. 6 official mock tests available in mba.com, and you can possibly top it up a few more mock tests here and there. So about 10 mocks is the maximum that you should look at, but you should definitely take the 6 mock tests available in mba.com. 2 of those are free and 4 of those are paid tests. Every mock, don't take mock on consecutive days. If you take mock on, let's say, day 1, let's say June 16th you take a mock, June 17th you basically analyze the mock, June 18th, you basically do the feedback. The mock will tell you that, hey, I'm weak in absolute value inequality questions. I have a problem and evaluate the reasoning questions when it comes to critical reasoning. Use this as a feedback loop. So essentially 16th you took the test, 17th you figured out what went wrong, what went right. Did you spend more time in a question? Did you spend less time in a question? All of those analysis happens. 18th is the day when you do the plugging in to course correct. 19th, take the next test. So you need to have at least a minimum of 2 days gap between any 2 mocks. So 6 to 8 mocks, I'm giving you a month window so that you do justice to it. Essentially, the biggest value add, in addition to whatever is happening here, you're converting the effort that's gone into it into a score in this 1 month window. So that comes through. Think of it as a feedback loop. I did this. I'm lagging in this area. I'm going to work on this. The next mock I'm going to take, I would essentially ensure that I've corrected this drawback. It'll show up something else which you need to improve on that particular thing. As you keep doing this, you'll realize that your score also scales up slowly. July 15th, take the test. Taking the test on July 15th, you got a score of your liking. You should, if you have done justice to this preparation, right, should get a 720 plus score, 740 plus score. You're ready to apply in the next window, which is basically start your application process by August 1st. You'll be able to catch the January admission cycle. You'll be able to catch R1 cycles for August, September 2024. Both of these are there. If this July 15th test did not go the way you wanted it to, you wanted a 740, you got a 710. You knew that you spent more time in the first 3 questions in quant. And that's why you did not score adequately in quant. Your quant ended up being a Q49 when normally you were scoring Q50 plus. So if you know that you can notch it up a little more, right? Is 720 a bad score? No. But you know that is 710 a bad score? No. But you know if you're a 750 material, I think you should not settle for anything lesser because you'll walk into this entire application process a lot more confidently if you got the score that you wanted. This July 15th test also gives you room that you can start your application process by August 15th. Do this course correction of what went wrong in the first attempt and take the GMAT by the 15th of August. You can take the second GMAT in 16 calendar days. I'm giving you a month from July 15th to take the second GMAT so you can iron out all the rough edges. August 15th, take the second GMAT. By the time you would have also you would have started with your application process, which comprises the following. You need to fill in an application which typically will have an essay. You need to get recommendation letters. You need to get your transcripts in place. This application essays is a part where you invest a lot of time because that basically tells your story to the school. So do justice to it. If I would again recommend here that you take assistance from people who are experts at it. If you have friends, colleagues, family who graduated from business school who can help you out, nothing like it. Otherwise, sign up with someone who's good at it, who has helped students do justice to it, because you're not saying something which is untrue. But many times we'll not know how to showcase our story. Your story is your story. You can't change your story. But how you present it makes a big difference, right? And sometimes our perspectives about what we want to do could be presented much better. And that would give clarity to you as well as to what you want to do in life. So essentially invest time in this, take help at that place also. So August 15th, second GMAT, or July 15th, first GMAT. One of these two should essentially give you the score that you want. Work with your application, get round 1 deadlines. As I mentioned at the start of the video, what is the advantage of applying in round 1? One, you get your admit notification. You know which schools you have gotten into by November, late November, early December itself. What is the advantage of it? If you think that you want to apply to some more schools, right? You got, let's say, mid-range schools with full scholarship. You want to take a shot at a higher rank school, or you got a higher rank school in the first round without any scholarship. You're trying to catch a mid-range school so that you could basically get an admit with a scholarship. You could try one of these two things, or you got the school of your liking with the scholarship that you wanted, and you have that admit by December. You can quit working by December, and whenever you serve your notice, you can do multiple things, right? Essentially, you can basically use this window to basically do some amount of pre-reading, pre-preparation for your MBA itself. If you're rusty about calculus, because calculus is something that you probably need to know, statistics is something that you probably need to know, financial accounting is something that you need to know. Essentially, do some courses to ramp this up. Also pick up skills which are things like Python, R, because today everything is data-driven world. You don't want to walk into a business school and not know these things. Plug the 7-8 months from December to August into doing some serious course about it. Get some certifications if possible along the way for these courses. So when you walk into a business school, it is like you can look at the data, you can work with those packages, you can make sense out of it. And third, if you're going to European business schools, right? If it's France, get your French in place. If it's Germany, get your German in place. If you're going to schools in Spain, get your Spanish in place. If you're going to UK, if you're going to the US, though the medium of instruction and the people around you will be speaking English. In the French, German, and Spanish schools also, the medium of instruction is English. But knowing the local language is what is going to help you get a job there. Even if you go to the US, if you go to the UK, pick up a foreign language, right? These 7-8 months, do A level, B level, some of those entry levels at least, clear in either German or French or in Spanish or in Mandarin. Have one more thing that's going to be an additional X factor in your resume. You can do all of these things if you have an admit by 2023 December. And when will that be possible? If you apply by August, September, which is the first round of deadlines. So start your GMAT preparation. Do not delay it any further. Get started by the first week of March. Take the GMAT by the end of July. Apply with R1. Get your admits. Know where you are going by December. Take a break from there. Do justice to whatever is needed is going to help you do justice to your program. While you're in MBA, all this Python, R will help you there. And also showcase to your potential employer post MBA that you have some foreign language skills, you know these things, and you've actually clocked in enough time for financial accounting, calculus, and statistics that while you're in the business school, you don't have to invest too much time preparing for that. You can use that time to network. In fact, you can start your networking process even as you are in India for a business school which is like located outside India. If you have those 9-month window, you can talk to alumni, you can be a part of various clubs there, which are, you can look at what is happening, you can contribute to it right now and be a part of the system even before you join the school. Multiple ways it helps you. So don't delay any further. Wizako runs GMAT live online classes. The next batch starts on the 26th of February. Tutors include GMAT 780 and Q51 tutors. Shweta has a 780 in the GMAT. I teach quant, which is I've scored a Q51 in the quant, right? Schedule a demo class with us. Check out whether that makes sense for you. wzko.in/demo is the URL to schedule a demo. Best wishes for your GMAT.